Hi, I'm Sam Carlino for Who's Cookin'. Want to thank you for tuning in tonight. We got a real special show for you. We're in the state of New Mexico. We're in Santa Fe, standing in front of the old chapel of Loretto. You're going to see some wonderful shots of a special spiral staircase that was made from the hands of God. You're going to be able to check out Old Town Santa Fe. We're going to be making some paella at my wife's cousin Omar's house in Rio Rancho. We're going to be checking out the Bernalillo Wine and Arts Festival. We're going to be going to farmers markets and checking out some of their wares, so stay tuned because we got a terrific show for you. Thanks.
Santa Fe has a rich history dating back 10 years before the first pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. The Spanish inhabited this region as early as the early 1500s. And in 1852, the Sisters of Loretto, a Catholic order of nuns, made their way from Santa Fe via Kentucky to found a school and church in this small southwestern town. By 1873, they started work on a new chapel, which was the first Gothic structure ever built west of the Mississippi. And upon completion, they realized they needed a staircase to reach the loft for the choir. They needed to have some room without removing any of the seats, so they tried to hire every stairmaker in New Mexico to do the job, but they all said it couldn't be done. So they made a novena to St. Joseph, the patron saint of carpentry. And on the 9th and final day, the prayers were answered, when an unknown elderly man showed up in town to build their staircase, donning only a hammer, square, and saw. 8 months later, he completed the spiral staircase, which still stands today. And when the nuns went to pay him, he had mysteriously vanished, never to be seen again. The staircase has 2 full 360-degree turns with no center support. There are no nails or glue to keep it together. Only wooden pegs hold this structure together. Now, architects and engineers have never been able to explain why the staircase has not fallen to the ground with no center support. And even the wood that was used was not native to New Mexico, and after extensive testing, it was proved to be a wood of an unknown source. The species of wood used is now named the Loretto spruce because of its unique square-shaped cell structure. Now, the stairway was used daily for more than 100 years by the nuns, and it still stands today. It is one of the many highlights of Santa Fe. When you get a chance, you must see. Santa Fe is also home to hundreds of art galleries and boutiques. Dozens of artists have displays of their work in each gallery, and they all have fine paintings and sculptures which grace the landscape, just waiting for the right owners to be taking them home. Now, shopping in Santa Fe can take up to hours, if not days. One suggestion is to have Mom have a babysitter so she can do her shopping uninterrupted. One of the other suggestions is let Dad take the kids out to one of the Centro parks in the middle of town and let the kids roam free on the meticulously groomed lawns. In New Mexico, Native Americans sell everything from jewelry to chili peppers to piñon. Piñon is known to the West Coasters as pine nuts, and Felice is a native of the Laguna Puebla region of New Mexico. Her family collects the piñon in the northern region, and she sells a uniquely roasted piñon on weekends in Santa Fe. Each place I actually bought the piñon, they all had unique flavors and characteristics about them. Santa Fe has new buildings and old scattered amongst themselves. Even the parking garages have the authentic look of the old Southwest adobes. All right, I'm here with my cousin Omar
from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Omar, tell us where we're at right now.
Right now, this is the Bernalillo Farmers Market, typically a Friday and Saturday market with all the local farmers bringing their produce and herbs and spices that they've grown locally in the valley. And you can go there on the weekends and pick up some fresh produce.
Oh, looks great. Yeah, I noticed they had a lot of fresh carrots, and I see some tomatoes there. And is this where you buy a lot of your produce? Oh, look at those onions you're picking out.
Yeah, typically this is what I use to make my paella from scratch. A lot of the produce is local. I try to help support the local community by buying the produce at this market.
Well, not only that, I see that it looks like it's a much, fresher quality and better product too.
The quality you get here is better than buying at the store. Not only that, the flavor and aroma is by far better than the markets.
Now, what do you got here? This looks real interesting. This looks like some peppers.
Yes, this is the local peppers. Typically, you'll find them from Hatch, New Mexico. And what we do here is you roast them to get the flavor out and also help you peel, get the skin off. As you can see here, the local farmers brought his roasting machine, and he will put fire to it, and you'll see the process where they roast it, and then we'll take them home and peel them.
Now, I noticed that I saw a lot of these roasters all over the state when I was there. They seem to be a way of life out there this time of the year in the fall. Is this real common?
Yes, this is the time of year where you'll find the autumn roast is what you'll see here. Typically, they'll be green with a change in color towards red and yellow, and that's where you get the best flavor of these peppers.
Yeah, so he just basically throws it in there for a few minutes and twirls it around and gets it fired up and then puts it in a plastic bag, it looks like, right?
Yes, once he puts them in the plastic bag, it allows time for them to steam, so when you get them home, they literally fall right off the skin.
Now, from what I understand with peppers, the skin is a real tart flavor, and you want to get that off to get to the meat of the product. Is that why they do that?
Yes, the meat of the product is where the flavor is. The skin kind of is like a protective layer. If you can remove that, you get to the heart of the fruit.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, you got a lot of nice looking produce over here, and see fresh eggplants and some little bit of garlic and some squash and more onion. Ooh, look at that. What is that?
This is the local mushroom that the gentleman picked up earlier today, right from the Rio Grande Valley River.
Oh, wow. And that looks like an oyster mushroom. That's a biggest oyster mushroom I've ever seen in my life.
I have to agree with you. This is about the biggest mushroom I've ever seen, and the flavor when we use this in our dish is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. When we picked this up and we were talking to the gentleman, you're giving the thumbs up like, yeah, we scored on this one. Awesome stuff. Now where are we at now?
This is the Bernalillo Wine Festival. Typically, Labor Day weekend is the time of year to go for this festival. You'll have approximately 26 or so local wineries from all over the state come to this little fairground here in the town of Bernalillo.
Wine in New Mexico. How many wineries do you have out there?
Oh, I can't even count them. I'm going to say at least at this show there was 20 to possibly 30 local vendors showing their product.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was there, I was really impressed that they actually do a very nice job on their wines, being especially from New Mexico with the climate that you guys have. It's not really conducive to making wine, but they really make it work. They found a way to make those grapes taste good.
From my experience, a lot of the wines that we have in New Mexico are similar to the soil of Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the area in particular is Mendoza, Argentina, very dry, high desert. New Mexico is a carbon copy of that country.
I noticed that there was a lot of families there, a lot of things for the kids to do, and it wasn't just wine and arts, but there was a lot of food, and people seemed like they were really enjoying their eating too.
This is a local community-sponsored event, and you'll have the local restaurants bringing their pick of the crop and cook some foods to bring you to come to their restaurant and show off what they can make for you. And
yeah, I remember this roasted corn. Yeah, there's my little girl. She's really digging into that roasted corn. A lot of neat artists over in New Mexico. It's Santa Fe and Taos and Albuquerque is really well known for its artisans. Tell us a little bit about that real quick.
Once again, the local artisans bring their work here, and you'll get to meet them and personal autographs, and they'll dedicate artwork to you. You can custom order pieces, and you'll even see some of the local produce again. And once again, here's this is a traditional chili ristra, which you hang in the front of your home or on your patio.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people had those in their kitchens as well.
Yeah, I have one in my house, and it's great for just picking right off the stem and putting it into your favorite meal.
Yeah, this is great. Now after we got done with the wine festival, we were out picking our produce that morning. We were heading back to your house from the wine festival right now, and we're going to start preparing the paella. And tell us a little bit about your process and getting everything chopped up and ready to go.
I typically like to start everything the day before. I make my broth and prep all the chopped vegetables so that the day of the party, for those who come early, they can see how the process is done and see how much time it does take to go into making a delicious dish as paella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see that you had a special broth over there too.
Oh, that's definitely a home recipe, and I'm afraid I can't relieve that recipe secret.
Okay, I wasn't asking, but I see you got a little helper over there. What's his name?
That's Don Pasquale. He's a local patron saint of cooking.
Oh, so that's the secret. You got the local saints working for you too, huh?
Yeah.
So I see you got red, yellow, and green bell peppers. Why do you like to use the three instead of just one color?
The trio adds color, and there is a slight flavor difference between the three different colors.
That's one thing that I noticed, that the green is a little more tart and the red is kind of medium and then the yellow is lighter. Ooh, look at your stock. What do you got in there?
Once again, trade secret, but as you can see, there's still a few.
Well, I can see a few things. It's not too secret.
But it's the remnants from what we used of the peppers that I'm cutting there.
Oh, wow. And then this is that oyster mushroom that you bought. And from what I understand, the fellow was telling us those trees right behind the farmer's market there is actually the Rio Grande River. He actually picked this off of a tree right near the river.
This was picked that morning, and we were fortunate enough to get there early enough, and he pulled it out of his truck and said, "Here you go, guys. I know you're looking for something special," and we took it off his hands.
Can I ask you how much you paid for that?
We paid approximately $8 for that mushroom.
$8. Come on, you got to be kidding. Look at all those lobes. I've never seen a mushroom like that in my life. Now, what's the difference between that and something you get bought in the store?
Oh, if you were to find even a quarter of that mushroom, you would have paid at least $10 for just that little piece.
Oh, at least, but I could not believe how fresh this mushroom was. I mean, literally, this was hanging on a tree that morning.
This is the advantage of going to the farmer market in the morning or early afternoon, is you get the fresh crops, and the freshest flavors and produce make the best dishes.
Yeah, I really have to agree with you there. You start off with a good product, you end up with a good one. You use the freshest ingredients, and it just makes for such a delicious meal. And when the folks get a chance to see what this paella turns out like, it's quite amazing.
If there was an invention of smell-o-vision, then this would be one of the times to have it, because the kitchen right now is just so aromatic. And wait until we get to the cooking process where I do it on the grill, and that's when you really...
and it was really nice being able to prepare everything in your new home and your beautiful kitchen there.
Yeah,
you know, being protected by the saint too.
having the
No.
having the saint on my side there really this does help.
Now, you're separating some things here. Tell us what you're doing.
I'm removing the stems. They're a little tougher, and by putting them into the broth, we'll start to enhance the flavor of the broth. So when we put it with the paella, it won't be a sharp contrast by having a mushroom flavor only.
The mushrooms are almost like a sponge in a way, so it's going to soak up the flavor. So where are we at now?
Right now, we're out on the patio with the grill, cooking the chicken thighs in a nice olive oil that's not too hot, but at the same time, we're trying to braise everything nicely.
So you're pan-searing these chicken thighs, and are you using a gas fire or wood fire? What do you got here?
This is a wood charcoal burning fire, and I enhance it with putting mesquite wood with the coals.
Oh, so by using the real wood, you actually got the wood smoke flavor to permeate inside of the paella then, right?
Yes, it'll enhance the flavor of the paella, give it an outdoors cooked on the grill flavor versus cooking it inside your home.
Oh, if you cook this dish inside your house, it's going to end up smelling, your house is going to smell like paella for a week.
If you were to cook this in your home, it would definitely, people would think you have a restaurant for your home instead of a nice comfortable area.
I've cooked paella several times, even in the garage, and my garage smells like paella for a week. I can just only imagine doing it inside my house. Now, ooh, look at those. What do you got here?
Right now, these are the large bay scallops, and
those are jumbo sea scallops. Those are giant boys. Those aren't bay scallops. Those are big boys.
Yeah, these have been lightly seasoned in the bowl before we put them into the oil along with the chicken. And now I'm adding the trio of bell peppers to the pan.
Okay, now let me ask you, why do you put things in at separate times? It looks like you've cooked the chicken, you cooked some scallops, you threw in your peppers, now it looks like you have onions in there. Why do you do all this separate?
It's a technique of layering. That way everything absorbs the flavor over time instead of all one time and it tastes all as one.
Okay, so I see you've removed the chicken and now you're starting to saute the peppers and onions, so that oil, basically what you're saying is that oil that was in there from the beginning with the chicken and the scallops is starting to absorb all the flavors of everything you put in?
Yes, it becomes a mix of flavors instead of just peppers, just onions and so forth of all the different ingredients.
Well, there's my little girls on your backyard enjoying it. And it looks like you got some tomatoes here. And
Yes.
those are fresh tomatoes we got from the farmer's market?
Tomatoes from the market, and once we've combined all the other vegetables, the tomatoes are more tender, so we add them to absorb the flavor.
And they have a little more juice, and I see that you had already added the mushrooms as well. Now, what do we have here?
This is the arborio rice from Spain.
Boy, now arborio rice is probably one of the best rices that I've seen for paellas, just because of its sheer ability to absorb flavor and really soak up all the goodies.
Most of the ingredients in this dish is about absorbing flavor. The rice is one of the key ones. This one in particular acts like a sponge, and in a little while you'll see it absorb the rest of the ingredients, including the saffron.
Now, saffron, how key is that? Oh, you got some, what's this here?
Well, this is the saffron broth that we made the night before.
Oh, that's your broth that instead of putting water in, you're actually putting a broth.
This is the broth that we used. Oh, I'm revealing the secret. This is the broth with all the chicken and spices and saffron. There's the key ingredient.
Okay. Well, this is a view from your backyard, and the Sandia Mountains there is a beautiful backdrop to cooking this paella. It really feels like you're somewhere in Argentina or in Spain. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to be cooking. It was a magical time.
Yeah, fall is a beautiful time of year right before the season change.
And you got horsemen riding up and just checking things out. I guess the smell was... Who's that?
This is my neighbor down the road, Albie, on his favorite horse.
Oh, yeah, I can see you in the background, just talking to him there. I think he was coming over to see what we were cooking up, really.
Yeah, the smell was wafting down towards his house, and he decided to come check it out.
He's heading out to the street there. He better look both ways, because I'm not sure they're looking out for a horse on the streets here.
No, typically in this neighborhood, everything goes.
Now, you're starting to put back, I see some prawns in there. It looks like you threw the chicken back in, and now you're starting to put the scallops that you seared earlier. You pan-fried and got those cooked up a little bit. Now, why are you returning those back?
Everything's done in a layering technique. Initially, we pan-fry everything together, and as you are almost to a medium rare, you take everything out, put them in a bowl or a pan, and start layering everything back in to add the flavor all as one.
Okay, so that juice and oil, like we were talking about earlier, is your base that gets sucked up by the rice, and now you're putting the pieces back in. So you just threw some parsley in there. Was that parsley or cilantro?
No cilantro, that was parsley.
Parsley, okay.
And then now we're adding the clams along with all the other seafood you see there, the jumbo scallops, the jumbo prawns, and the chicken, and there's some sausage, I believe, in there.
Wow, and I can see that you're using fresh clams as well. Do you sometimes use mussels?
Mussels will also be added, and those enhance the flavor of all the seafood as part of this dish.
Now, you're not dumping these in. I mean, you're placing each one of these by hand. What's the significance of dropping them in special locations?
Everything has a significant value here. When you put the pieces in face down, they'll eventually absorb the juices of the paella, so that when you open one of these clams, it won't be just a plain clam. It'll have the flavor of the paella.
Okay, so when the clam opens up, all of the rice actually gets stuck inside along with the clam then?
Yes, and when you were to bite into one of these clams, you'll see that you'll have the juice of the saffron and the broth.
Okay. Now, you use real Spanish saffron.
There it is.
And those are the threads, it's not the powder. What's the difference?
The powder, it tends to lose its intense flavor versus using the whole strands.
Now, I see that you're starting to break it up now. It looks like you're crushing it. Why do you crush it?
When you crush it, you release the natural oils in the herb, and it'll just help enhance the flavor, because we have already cooked it in the broth, and now it's just a little topping on top to finish it off, so you get that punch of saffron.
Wow. And now I see you got some jumbo prawn. You put some shrimp in earlier, but now these are prawns.
Yeah.
See, these are big daddies.
Earlier was just some decent sized shrimp or prawns. These are the jumbos. These are probably about the size of a small lobster tail.
Yeah, those look awesome. And it looks like you have New Zealand green lip mussels there. I guess, out in the desert, the fresh mussels, are they a little harder to come by sometimes?
Sometimes they are, so you can improvise. And paella is a dish where you use what you can get at the time.
And one thing I noticed with the green lip mussels is that they're pre-cooked and they're flash frozen after they're immediately caught. So most of the times they're just as fresh, almost as getting a fresh one, in the sense if the fresh ones could be on the old side. I mean, I've never had any trouble cooking with New Zealand green lip mussels, and they're so big and they got such a nice flavor. I was really impressed with the way these turned out.
These were pre-cooked and marinated, so we did put them towards the end of the cooking, just to get the flavor of the rest of the paella.
Now, again, I see that you're placing these in strategic spots. The significance?
Just decor, design, however you want to present this. You could do all clams on the outside or all mussels. It's up to you. There's various ways of presenting it.
Wow, and I just got a glimpse of that fire too. That thing is raging. You're using real wood, and look at that. You got real wood going on in there, and that smoke coming up it's not charcoal. I mean, it's real wood, so you got the natural smoke.
The smoke coming from the fire is what you see of the mesquite wood, and if you could taste this, you definitely have the flavor of a smoked grill.
Look at that. Now, are these those roasted peppers that we got at the farmer's market?
These are the roasted peppers, and they've been peeled and seeded, and now it's my tradition to do it as a New Mexican paella.
Mm-hmm. And the one rule that I've always stuck to over all these years of making this dish is that there are no rules.
That's true. Making this dish, you can make it any way you wish. You don't have to use seafood. You can use all meats. It's a preference of who's going to be at your party.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And a lot of people could be allergic to seafood. Oh, look at that. Those prawns and the peppers are luscious.
And I'm just adding right now a little extra broth to finalize this so that
how do
we
you
can
determine whether you need more broth? Is it just experience? You take a look at the rice, or
you'll get experience, and also to taste. You'll see that the rice might need a little bit more because it's dry, and then you'll add it, and now you have
now
the
it's
finished.
done.
Yes, there's the finished product.
I saw that you had it covered, and I guess that helps keep the steam in and cook it.
Just like when cooking rice, if you cook it, the rice cooks faster.
Oh, God, I can't tell you how good that was. Now it looks like you're getting ready to move it.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest paellas. It took two of us to lift that off the fire.
It's huge. And that pan's like 4 inches thick, too.
Yes.
It was amazing. It looked like you got a steady flow of customers coming through,
yes,
too.
the pan I have will serve easily 40 people.
Wow. Look at those scallops, those prawns, the rice, the chicken. Unbelievable. There's your wife, Lydia. She's getting in on the action. She says, yeah, I want one of those prawns. And who do we have here?
This is Margie, a friend of ours.
Right. And it looks like she can't wait. She's chomping at the bit here. She says, yeah, give me one of those chickens. That looks great. Look at those muscles.
And you can see the little bits of
Yeah.
saffron floating in there.
Yeah, the threads have swollen with being absorbed with all that juice that you were talking about. Oh my God, that is just a beautiful looking dish, Omar.
So yeah, all the friends come out when I cook this dish. It's
I bet. They see Omar's cooking paella.
I mentioned paella, and they drop everything, and they're like, okay, we're ready. What time do you want us there?
Yeah. Well, the one thing with paella, you can't, the people can't, you're not waiting for the people. The people are waiting for the paella because that's the star, and you don't know how long it's going to take each time.
No, a lot of my friends do come just for the show. They never realized what it takes.
What do you got here? That looks, it's all crusty on the bottom. It's black. What is that?
It's not a bad thing. I mean, having the crust on the bottom is...
That's my favorite part.
That's where everything
That's a delicacy.
Yes.
It's a little burnt and charred. Here I am. I got a chance to get out from behind the camera, and I'm going to load up a small plate. Just a little bit of this paella because I believe in making sure that everybody gets enough, but I didn't take much, just a couple bites because I want to spread the love. Now it looks like everyone's enjoying themselves.
Yeah, everyone had a good time that afternoon.
Yeah, and you had such a beautiful patio and home, and the setting was so nice to be enjoying this dish, and I think the most important thing is inviting good friends and family to enjoy it with.
That's the key of making paella. Making it for two people is fun, but if you could share it with the friends and family, that's where you really get to enjoy this dish.
Yeah, I got to thank you very much, Omar, for taking your time, allowing us to come out to the house, and it was sure a big treat.
It was my treat to have you there. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you very much, folks. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you.